Let's
Big Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
Oh, flex. Buckle up and join the best. Let's see, relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going. Just refresh. Buckle up and try to ride from 2 to the half of 5. Mondays to Fridays happening live. Where we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the Traffic Avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the Traffic Avenue.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. City News on 97.3 FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu. Tonight, I'm here with
Hawa Idrisu Mustafa.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes, Supreme Court dismisses injunction application against Parliament, paving the way for President Akufo-Addo's minister nominees to go through approval process. But the NDC is accusing the Chief Justice of selective justice. Also coming up, President Akufo-Addo fires GRA boss Reverend Amishadai and dissolves the board in the wake of recent controversies relating to the authority. And later on Eyewitness News, Deputy Energy Minister Herbert Krapper appointed board chair of the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, following the resignation of Kelly Gajepo. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
World Bank $300 million loan facility released for budgetary support.
That's in 15 minutes from the City Business Desk. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a host of affiliate stations, including Kasha 99.5 FM in Damongo in the Savannah region, Holy 98.5 FM in Aflau, and Sela Radio 97.1 in Dabala, both in the Volta region. We're also on Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi and Focus 94.3 FM also in Kumasi, both in the Ashanti region. In the Western region, we are on Beach 105.5 FM and Sky Power 93.5 FM, both of them in Takrady. In the Northeast region, we are on Nobia 98.1 FM in Nalerigu. In Northern region, we are on North Star Radio 92.1 in Tamale. In the Upper East region, we are on Rekas 92.1 FM in Bongo, Namo. In the Upper West region, we are on Tumpani Radio 98.5 FM in Nadoli and Jirapa 96.1 FM also in Jirapa. We are also live on YouTube, live on Facebook. We are interactive. Join us with your messages 0549 986 996. That's a WhatsApp number 0549 986 996. Alternatively, you can go on Twitter, now known as X, and put a message there using the hashtag City Newsroom. My handle is at Umaru Sanda. You can also send your message to at City973. Let's settle for details of our stories now. And the first one has to do with the Supreme Court. And how has that story?
Now, the Apex Court has dismissed an application filed by South Dai MP Roxy Nelson Dafiamepo challenging the vetting and approval of new ministers and deputies appointed by the president. Mr. Dafiamepo's suit was challenging the legality of the recent ministerial nominations, insisting that the president should have sought parliamentary approval before reassigning ministers whose appointments were revoked during the February 14 reshuffle. In court on Wednesday, the plaintiff, Roxy Nelson Dafiamepo, and his lawyers were absent. They were also accused of refusing service processes of the court, including the notice of hearing and the opposition of the Attorney General to the interlocutory injunction. Speaking to the media shortly after the court case, Attorney General and Minister for Justice Godfred Yeboah-Dame hailed the Supreme Court for throwing out the case.
Be that as it may, the court proceeded to deal with the matter, and that's it. I think that was very unfortunate, especially as the same council was in the same day filing processes in the Supreme Court of Ghana. Earlier in the morning, he was rejecting processes from the Supreme Court of Ghana, and then in the afternoon, proceeded to file processes in the same Supreme Court of Ghana. And I think the processes of the highest court of the Republic ought to be respected. The dignity and authority of the court always ought to be protected and respected by all counsel, and that is the point that's ought to be recalled.
What would you see? What would you want to see? What do you make of the concerns outside that you are taking a keen interest in matters that tend to favor government? Why not? Why have you not filed responses in the matters relating to the gay bill and all those matters to have perhaps an earlier hearing like we are seeing in this particular one?
I think you ought to conduct research properly. We have filed a relevant affidavit of position in that matter. We have filed affidavit of position in the matter. So I think all these comments are unwarranted and indeed are baseless because we filed affidavit. We actually filed a position to the affidavit in answer to the Richard Sky matter before we filed affidavit in answer to this one.
I mean, that's the CJ's position that the parties are the ones who do not follow.
And I think it's also very important. Yes, I mean, and I ought to make the point that it is most instructive that Parliament itself was opposed to this application for secretary injunction by Dafemopo. And I find it very interesting because the same Speaker of Parliament who earlier on adjourned proceedings, in my view, wrongly, on account of the pendency of this application, then later on somersaulted and came to the Supreme Court and opposed the application. And that is the point of interest to me. I think that it shows clearly that the application clearly was frivolous, and there ought not to be any manipulation of what went on in court. Even Parliament itself was opposed to the application.
On the cases that are being heard, there are those who have taken the view that some cases were filed 2 weeks prior to this case being filed, and the Supreme Court has proceeded to deal with it. The Chief Justice has raised issues about persons not prosecuting their own cases. So what do you mean?
Yes, I mean, as I said, it's most unfortunate that persons will file processes before the court and then fail to take an interest in them. And indeed, even when the same application for secretary injunction spending has not been determined a day before, they proceed to go and file another application for secretary injunction. There cannot be a greater demonstration of a desire to abuse the court process than this. Clearly, it shows an attempt to frustrate the Republic from pursuing its business and all. And that is why it's necessary that as lawyers for the Republic, we take a keen interest in whatever happens and make sure that such things are dealt with so that the state business can proceed.
I mean, with this out of the way, we know Parliament is on recess. I guess your expectations are once they come, the approval possibly could take place for the ministers to take their positions.
Yes, of course. And of course, on record in Parliament, it's a letter that I wrote to the Speaker asking him to reconsider his decision and all. So I expect Parliament, after having come to the Supreme Court to oppose this application, to also reconvene and deal with the matter relating to the approval of the ministers. There's nothing at all that impedes or inhibits Parliament from doing its work. They ought to do their work. And I think that the adjournment of proceedings was most unjustified. Yes, and uncalled for.
I mean, so is it the position that if Richard Sky does not prosecute this case, the Supreme Court is not going to hear it? And
of course,
the hand of the president is going to be stayed on this bill up until Richard Sky decides that he takes an interest in this matter.
Well, if Richard Sky does not prosecute the matter, that will be dismissed. The process has filed in court to be dismissed.
It has not been the date has not been set.
Hold on. I think that the duty to fix the date for hearing rests in the registry of the Supreme Court. And I do not understand where this business of people actually scrutinizing when applications are faced for hearing or why these applications are faced for hearing even came from.
The argument
is the days. If you file an application in the Supreme Court of Ghana, it takes even 3 months for you to have a date for hearing. It is only after a party has made an application for an expeditious determination of the process that the matter will come up for hearing. And indeed, in the record, we show that this particular case, for the record, it must be indicated that I specifically applied for an expeditious determination of the matter. I applied for an expedited hearing of the application. So it is not the Supreme Court of Ghana picking and choosing which applications to hear and not to hear. Any party to any matter, back in the days I used to do it even when I was in opposition, my first application for an expedited hearing of a matter in the Supreme Court, I did it way back in 2006. And then I did another one even in 2013 when we were in opposition. The Rance for France one, which is widely reported, was held in the vacation. And that is pursuant to an application for an expedited hearing that I made as counsel to Rance for France in 2011 or 2012. So indeed, it is always the prerogative of the Supreme Court registry to face applications for hearing. And if the date for hearing has not been fixed or is perhaps too far, it is incumbent on the party to apply to the Chief Justice in accordance to the Courts Act and the Constitution of the Republic for an expedited hearing.
You have an expedited hearing in the Richard Sky case.
So I think you should ask the plaintiff. The plaintiff is the one who initiated the action. The plaintiff is the one who initiated the action. And the plaintiff ought to bear the responsibility for the conduct of the.
That was the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfred Yeboadami.
Nikpakpo Samuel Ado is a lawyer for Roxy Nelson Eche Dapamakpo. His case was thrown out today. Nikpakpo has joined us on the line. Counsel, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Yes, Umaru Sanda.
Umaru Sanda,
how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
And please, it was an application that was dismissed. His case was not thrown out.
Yeah, but the application itself is also a case. You've gone to make a case.
Umaru, the application is not a case.
You have made no, it's an application making a case that something should not be done or something should be done, and that case has been thrown out.
English semantics. My good friend, let's go on.
Okay, why did you run away from your own case, by the way?
We didn't run away from our own case.
The Supreme Court, in fact, the Chief Justice was chairing the panel. They looked for you left, right, center in the courtroom. You were nowhere to be found. You brought your case and you were nowhere to be found. That's what the Attorney General said, that you fled from your own case. What happened?
We didn't flee from our own case. We are supposed to be served with a hearing notice on the date that has been called by the court. So I received a call from the bailiff of the court that he had a process for me. Unfortunately, yesterday I wasn't in Accra, and I want to get the correct time so that I have exactly my time. He called me at exactly 10:50 a.m. So I informed him that I wasn't around, but I was going to give him the number of the plaintiff so that he could serve the plaintiff with the hearing notice or whatever documents he had, which was, so I sent him the number at 10:57. He acknowledged receipt and said, receive with thanks. That was the last time I dealt with the said bailiff. I was therefore very surprised to hear today that this bailiff alleged that he walked into my office and I had left an instruction, or he was reported to have been told by front desk people that I had left a specific instruction that no process was to be received. When I did an official search, he said, in that particular case. For him, perhaps he didn't know. We have a CCTV system in this place that has an audio capability. So I have released the CCTV video footage and the audio of his interaction with my front desk. And I've sent it to you. You can play it for the whole world to hear. Whether anyone at the front desk ever said what he said, that was a complete and barefaced lie. What he did was he came in and identified himself as a bailiff and that he had a process. He placed the process on the table and the clerk or the front desk person saw my name on it and said, oh, my boss is not in at the moment. Can you wait so that when he comes, he receives this process and signs for it? He said he was making a phone call to ascertain whether that should be the procedure that he should go by. He informed the front desk people that he was coming, in that he was making a phone call and that he will return. And he disappeared. And so you can watch the footage for yourself. It has an audio on it. Listen to the interaction and judge for yourself.
Okay, I think
whether anybody in the front desk ever stated the very thing that he went to say in court today. But be that as it may, the Supreme Court has said that once he left the process on our table, because it says we have no argument with that. The court has gone ahead to make a decision on our injunction application. We are okay. We have also filed, the substantive case is still pending. We'll wait for the court to call us on that one. We'll go and attend to it. Also, we have a mandamus application coming up in the High Court on the 8th in respect of the LGBTI matter. So we have moved on and we are focused on that one while we wait for the substantive case to be called. We have had our day in court. The court has ruled. That is all that you can do as a citizen of the country.
Okay, I'm yet to receive the video you said you sent. So yes, because you advertised that you sent it to me.
Fred has it. If you ask Fred,
okay, that's fine. Just for the record, since you've advertised that you're giving it to me, I have to issue a disclaimer.
Sorry, it's with Fred. I'm sure it's with Fred.
It's fine. It's fine. So the bailiff did not contact your client, did he, to try and do the service on him?
I cannot tell. That is the surprising part, because at least I have the text message interaction, and I have also screenshot that and sent it to Fred, and the exact times are there. So when I did the check, I contacted an official set today, and I'll send that also to. Clearly, I wasn't served personally, my client wasn't served personally, but he makes an allegation that at the front desk of my office, this was what he was told. It is a bare-faced lie. And perhaps he didn't know that we had a CCTV capacity that also had an audio recording. Be that as it may, once he left the process, the court says it's proper service. So we went ahead. That's it.
But you couldn't get to argue why the injunction should hold. It was
that's the thing, because we didn't have the benefits of the hearing notice, because I never stepped in the office unfortunately yesterday, so I didn't have the benefits of. But that is it's done. So once it's done, you can't.
So your reason for not showing up today is that you did not know you were supposed to show up today.
I don't, because I wasn't there.
But it was public knowledge that your case was being called today. In fact, the NDC issued a statement. The NDC issued a statement complaining as to why your case was being listed today when Richard Sky's case, which was earlier.
Unfortunately, I'm not a member of the NDC, so I wouldn't know.
No, there's a press statement which is a public document that has been circulated, so everybody knows that today you are supposed to be in court. That's why.
If you notice, the past 3 or 4 days, I've been working back and forth to get my processes passed. So, unfortunately, I've had very little sleep. So yesterday, after my surgeon out of Accra, I came back and went straight to bed. But on being that, the court has already determined. So what can we do? It's done.
Now, the substantive case itself is where. So this was an injunction trying to prevent
Parliament. An injunction to restrain Parliament from going ahead with the. And also, I need to. We have filed 2 injunction applications. One, we were intending to withdraw. If I was there, we would have withdrawn the first one and dealt with the second one. So, of course, the court felt we had repeated the same document twice. But there was a difference because there was a second relief on the second document. But, of course, the court then decided that it was a duplicitous application. So it would strike the second one out for being a duplicity of the first. But the reason was that we were going to withdraw the first one and continue with the second one.
What would be the use of the main case, though? Because the horses would have bolted, and what I mean is that the House of Parliament would have made a determination already. So, what's the point of proceeding with
the Parliament has not adopted any report. You understand? Parliament has not adopted any report. Parliament had not laid any report. So the process was ongoing. See, what we were simply saying was that everybody on that list, there were 3 categories. They came on one composite list. One, the A part were the people who had been removed from office and who we say should have been represented to Parliament for approval. The B section was the new ministers. The argument of the issue was that these new people should not be affected by the rate ongoing. And then the C column had to do with those we said should be part of the list that were going for vetting. So our point was that the list that has come out with the schedule for vetting did not include those people who had to be approved by Parliament because they had been removed from office. So we didn't want Parliament to be aiding, in our opinion, the executive to breach the law. But the Supreme Court says no. When Parliament is in the process of doing its work, you can't conjunct it. Yes, we'll hear your substantive matter, but allow Parliament the freedom to do its work. So that is the decision of the court.
Which means that so the main arguments are yet to come. Do you know when that would happen?
Yes, of course. The main case itself is yet to be determined.
Have you been given a date on when that would be heard?
No. That's always at the discretion of the court.
Okay. What do you make of this statement made by the NDC that there appears to be some selectivity in listing cases? You have been working in the court system for many years. How are cases listed, and must a case
entirely within the judicial registry? We have absolutely no power over how cases are listed. So this question is best suited for the judicial secretary or the registrar of the court. We have no power and of course, but today I think the attorney general gave a hint that he applied for expedited hearing of the matter. So maybe the parties in those other cases that were mentioned should also file expedited hearing application and see whether they will be granted. Then we move.
Very well.
We have done so in the Mandamus. The original date for the Mandamus application was the 15th. We filed an application for abridgment of time, and the court has granted us that request, the register. So we are actually doing court on the 8th of April to hear the mandamus application, which is to compel the president to receive the bill from the speaker. So if you make the application, it is likely that it will be granted. So it is up to the parties if they are interested. Because if you file the case, one would wonder why you would want to, since you filed the case, you wouldn't want the matter to move. Unless, of course, you filed the case for an ulterior motive. So I think you should be directing this question to your colleague Richard Sky and anybody else who has filed the case in court as to why they are not pushing their case forward.
Very well. Thank you so much, Nipakpo. And please do send a video. I'm yet to see it.
Just with Fred, please. Check with Fred.
Okay, I cannot reach him. He's not available currently.
Okay, then let me send it directly to you.
Yes, please do that so that we can,
right,
because you mentioned it is only fair to let our listeners know.
No, it's also fair to you, yes, definitely.
Merci beaucoup. That's Nipakpo Samuel Ado. He's lawyer for Roxy Nelson Eche-Dafamakpo, member of parliament, who has brought that application. He has a case and also an injunction application that the House of Parliament should not go ahead and approve President Akufo-Addo's nominees. This is because in the communication to the public and indeed to the House of Parliament, the first page announced that the president had relieved these persons of their positions. And then the second page would now talk about they being nominated to other portfolios. So someone like Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah, for instance, the statement would say that he has been relieved of his position as Information Minister. Then in the second page, it is said that he has been sent to Ministry of Works and Housing. Roxy Dafamakpo is of the view and argues same that the fact that the first page relieved them of their position means their contract have been terminated, and to the extent that they have been terminated, if there's a new appointment, they would have to go through vetting. Currently, under the law, if you're a minister serving in, say, Works and Housing, and you have been moved to gender, you do not have to go through Parliament. In fact, if you're a Minister of State and you are being given a substantive ministry to man, like, for instance, the Minister for Finance currently, Dr. Amin Anta, he was a Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance. He was named Minister of Finance. All he needed was to just carry his suitcase and move from his Minister of Finance office annex and move into Kenoforiata's office, which he has done. Now, the argument being made is that because the statement said the contract had been terminated before he was renominated, he should go through parliamentary vetting. So that main case will be heard by Parliament, but the injunction application injuncting or preventing Parliament from proceeding with the approval process is what was heard today. The lawyer for Roxy Dafamakpo was not in court. Roxy himself was not in court. The bailiff who was supposed to serve them was invited, and under oath he said that he had served them, and based on that, the panel of Supreme Court judges, presided over by the Chief Justice herself, decided that that was sufficient service, and what they decided to do was to abandon the court process entirely. And so they went ahead to take a decision or make a decision behind the backs of the applicants and dismiss that application. So that is the story as we have it now. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from our studios in Adabraka in Accra. Around the globe, we are on citynewsroom.com. And the information that Nipakpo Samuel referred to, he has actually just sent me a screenshot of a conversation with a person whose name is saved on his phone as bailiff. And the person, he sends a number and a name to him, a person called Justice Derry, and the bailiff replies and says, received with thanks, counsel. And this was yesterday. And then he's again sent Honorable Roxin's number, and the person replied and said, received with thanks. He has also added video, which video would be perusing in a bit and then share with you if there is a clearance to do that. Stay with us. This is Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
KB, yo. Hey, KB, aka Kube Boga. now drives a Bugatti. He can even travel by road from Accra to London. Oh, wow. KB's source of wealth is agriculture. Yes, coconut business. After losing his bank job, he started supplying coconuts at events. Now, he owns large coconut plantations and employs many young people. Charlie, we all need to trust the process, because hope day.
There has never been a better time to enter into agribusiness. Take a bold step today with the Ghana Grows program, because every step pays. Ejuma Wokrom, Ghana Grows, Hope Day, an initiative of the MasterCard Foundation in partnership with Springboard Roadshow Foundation and Limehouse.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa!
Bobo, so how's your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that.
Yes, so
somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched.
Sancho Panzapa.
Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
When you want to eat, just Momo it. Tired of the long queues in the supermarket? Pay with Momo. When you really want that beautiful new blouse, just Momo it. When you want to get a trim and get fresh to impress you know who, just Momo it. When you need to pay your utility bills and domestic staff, Shani Momo. When you want to send love to the family back home, send some Momo. Join the millions of MTN Momo users all over Ghana and live life the brighter way. So just Momo it. MTN.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from our studios in Adabraka in Accra. Before we went on the commercial break, I advertised that Nipapo Samuado had sent us the video that he talked about, which is CCTV footage. He says was recorded in his office, which CCTV footage also had audio, where he said if we watch the video, would see evidence that the court bailiff appeared and the conversation that was had was recorded. Unfortunately, the file as he sent to us, we are unable to play it. The technical team is looking at it to see if it's something that we can play. But we can move on for now, because he himself has also moved on, resigned on the issue, saying that the court has made a pronouncement and it's subject to him. They are moving forward with other issues. This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi. Let's talk about a protest that was happening today, or that happened today. Is a locked up forum. That's the name of the group. What's the name of the group?
Members of the Locked Up Investment Holders Forum have voiced their disappointment with the Finance Ministry for not granting them an audience to demand the release of their locked-up investment, despite meeting with the Governor of the Bank of Ghana earlier, who directed them to seek assurances from the government on the way forward. The group was prevented from entering the Finance Ministry premises after protesting through some principal streets of Accra. Here are some of the protesters speaking to Citi News earlier today.
You can't just imagine. It's very serious, because somebody like me, a young man coming, I have children, I have 3 children, and you can just imagine my funds locked up with an institution. How do I cater for my children? You know, it's just something else. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a shame. It's a shame to the entire nation.
It's a sad story, because we are putting monies together so that when we are on pension or we've grown, we are not working, we can access our money. For instance, I have health issues that I'm saving to use to look after myself. And I haven't been able to access my money for the past 6 years. You go there, they say there's no money. There is no money. They keep on doing there's no money. I know people who have invested there. They've died because they can't access their money to take them to hospital and look after themselves. So the whole thing is weighing on us a lot.
He had some members of the Locked Up Investment Holders Forum.
Dr. Edu Ananientri is a former head of the SEC. He's also become the convener of this Locked Up Investment Holders Forum. Doc, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you.
You become convener for so many, agitators. Are you now in your retirement? You've decided to become convener of demonstrations against locked up funds or something?
Yes,
like that?
I think it's financial freedom. I want financial freedom for people.
Nice retirement. What was the word? Escape. But
yes.
How different is this group from all the other groups you've been leading in the past? In the past, you used to lead retired locked up funds people.
That is a pensioner bondholders
fantastic
forum.
Pensioner. You got the Chief Justice, the former Chief Justice, to come and join you picket. Today, I'm told that you had very elderly persons in your midst. Who is this particular group of people? Or who are these?
Locked Up Investment Holders Forum.
Who are they?
These are people who have invested in some financial institutions, namely finance houses and savings and loans. Currently, 4 of them, NDK Financial Services, SIC Life Savings and Loans, SBC Financial Services, and then the Bond Savings and Loans. They can't access, or we can't, because I'm part of the investors, we can't access our funds from these 4 institutions because of the challenges that has come from the banking crisis and other issues. So we came together for some of the institutions for 4 years now. Nobody is getting anything, not even your small interest. So we came together and we sent a petition to the Bank of Ghana May last year that they should look into the matter. And if they have to support these institutions with some liquidity support for them to be able to operate and pay us our funds as and when needed. Bank of Ghana hasn't done anything. In November last year, we sent a proposal. I think we published the proposal in the daily graphic for everybody to see the proposal we have submitted to Bank of Ghana, which was provide them with some support that they can pay at least investors some 20% of our funds. We are prepared to keep the rest in the institutions in the form of some medium-term loans, and part also can be converted into equities and restructure these institutions so that they will become again viable and continue to employ people and provide the financial services they are providing. But if you think they do not deserve to be restructured and be saved, then under your own law, the law provides that even if you foresee that in the next 6 months an institution will become insolvent, start the resolution process now. But these people if you are to say you are not giving them money because they are insolvent, then you know they have been insolvent long time. So why are you still keeping them? Then revoke their licenses as you did in 2017, 2018 to 23 insolvent institutions, and then pay us our deposit, our funds, as you did 2017, 2018. So that is our challenge. And Bank of Ghana wasn't responding to even our proposal that we have submitted. So today we embark on this demonstration to press home our demand for Bank of Ghana to step in so that we can get our funds.
Now, why are you focused on government? Was that not a private contract you had with a private company?
I don't think the government wanted people to answer that question when it revoked the licenses of 23 financial institutions and paid their clients, the customers' funds. Government, through Bank of Ghana, license these institutions that if you want to make investment, go to these institutions and do your investment. So the confidence is there for the investor to go. You see, sometimes when you make the law, people that don't understand the implication of some of these rules. The rules, both at where I work, Securities and Exchange Commission, the security laws and the banking laws, require a licensed institution to always display its license at a conspicuous place in his office. Why? We want investors to be assured that for this office, if you enter and you see that, it means it is well, properly regulated, and you are safe there. Don't go to Piram. Don't go to R5. Don't go to wherever they don't have that license. So that is the assurance the system is giving you that come here because we are protected. And when we are preaching investment, we preach to people that don't put your investment anywhere apart from the regulated entities. So the system has a role to play to ensure that people are confident in putting their resources there. So it's not just a private arrangement. It is also the assurance that has been given by the state through the regulatory entities who have licensed these institutions. So once you have done that, then you must protect it. When Bank of Ghana revoked 23 licenses, the statement they gave to the public, and if you like, go and read it. They say these people are insolvent. We have revoked their licenses. The rest, we will make sure that we are going to increase our supervisory activities on-site, off-site, to ensure that the rest, none of them also goes through. So they have gone through. So it means the regulators' rule there has not been the right one, because you said you have revoked this, but the rest that are working, you ensure that you do it right now. If you were doing it anyway, now you enhance it. You improve your supervision. You make sure this thing doesn't happen again. And now it has happened. So the government, through the regulators, have a role to play.
You were not able to meet the persons you were hoping to meet to lodge your complaints today, were you?
We met the Bank of Ghana governor.
All of you?
Yes. The police has determined some areas to be security zones. So when you are going, they don't allow the crowd, the whole contingent, to go, as they did when the minority in caucus went to Parliament. So we told the police that we will be sending 10 people. And the 10 people went to meet the governor. The two deputy governors were there. And almost all their departmental health were also there. So it was at that meeting that the governor also said that they appreciate that we have problems. But these institutions, they cannot give them support because where they have reached, they are insolvent. And their licenses must be taken away from them. But if they revoke these licenses, clients' money will be at stake and it must be paid to them. And I think they are also looking back at what happened 2017, 2018, when they revoke and government step in to pay. So they know that is the same thing that must happen now. So if they are going to revoke these licenses, then they must get the assurance that government has gotten money somewhere to say, when you revoke, I can provide you money to pay. So that is their challenge, that they are working with government for government to make some provisions for that. Once government assures them that they have this money, then they can go ahead and revoke these licenses and pay investors their funds. So that is what we got from the governor of the Bank of Ghana. So that means if government has money down, then I can revoke this license just as I did 2017, 2018, and then use the money that government has provided for this exercise to pay investors. Because we have said that we should be treated the same way. You cannot treat us differently from how you treated others 2017, 2018. That will not be allowed. That.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you.
That's Dr. Anani Edu Anani Entry. He is a convener of the Locked Up Investment Holders Forum. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. There are some other issues relating to labor. How?
Now, a meeting between the government and the striking teacher unions to conclude on negotiations about their conditions of service ended inconclusively. This deadlock stems from the refusal of the teacher unions to adhere to the directive issued by the National Labour Commission urging them to call off their strike for negotiations to proceed with the government. Speaking to the media, the Director of Grievances and Negotiations at the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Professor Charles Adabo Opon, said headway with the teacher unions would only be made upon the cessation of the strike.
Indeed, one of the directives which was for them to call off the strike to allow us to continue our engagement, the teacher unions have not complied. Indeed, because of that, we cannot continue with the negotiations. Indeed, they explained that they have to go through certain procedures to get themselves call off the strike, which was to consult their respective council. They tabled that, and indeed they were going to meet their council. Because of that, we have also indicated that then they have to do that needful directive provided by NLC for us to continue with the engagement. The final point was that if indeed they are able to call off the strike, we are ever ready as a government team to meet them even today or tomorrow. Thank you very much.
No, but were you disappointed with them not calling off the strike?
Obviously, you were there yesterday. Indeed, NLC is a state institution mandated to do such engagement, and therefore if they have given the directive that call off the strike so that negotiations can also continue and teacher unions not obliging, I think that clearly is something that is surprising to us.
Professor Charles Adabo Opon is the Director of Grievances and Negotiations at the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. The Nurses and Midwifery Council has suspended the implementation of its newly approved fees and charges for licensing verification. The council increased the charge from 550 cedis to 3,000 cedis. The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association has since the announcement kicked against the adjustment, describing it as a deliberate attempt to frustrate health professionals who intend to seek better opportunities abroad. Perpetual Ofori Ampofo is the president of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association.
Following the announcement of the new fees and charges by the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Ghana, and the subsequent agitations by nurses and midwives on the astronomical increment of the verification fee from 550 Ghana cedis to 3,000 Ghana cedis, the National Council of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association within the period issued two press releases on 11th March and 21st March 2024, and formally wrote letters to the Ministry of Health, the Nursing and Midwifery Council, the Speaker of Parliament, the majority and minority leaders of Parliament, and the Chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health. A meeting with the Ministry of Health, the management of the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Ghana, and the leadership of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association on 25th March 2024 concluded on the need for the governing board of the Nursing and Midwifery Council to holistically address the issue for the benefit of all parties. A statement issued by the 15th governing board of the Nursing and Midwifery Council dated 26th March 2024 has stated that the board has taken a decision to halt the implementation of the newly approved fees and charges pending its review, and has accordingly reverted to the previous fee structure. In view of this decision by the Nursing and Midwifery Council Board, the National Council of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, at its sitting today, 27th day of March 2024, has equally taken a decision to halt its roadmap of action in protest against the increased verification fee. We wish to assure all nurses and midwives that the leadership of the GRNMA will continue to engage and work with the interested parties to ensure that any new verification fee is fair and acceptable to the nursing and midwifery fraternity.
Perpetual Ofori Ampofo is the president of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. The General Secretary of the Private Health Facilities Association of Ghana, Frank Toblu, says some of the members of the association have confirmed payment from the National Health Insurance Authority. This is part of the disbursement of 180 million cedis to healthcare providers across the country. Speaking to Citi News, the General Secretary of the association, Frank Toblu, says while some members have been paid, others are still awaiting their payment.
Yes, as of yesterday, we had a meeting with the National Health Insurance Authority, and the outcome of the meeting is that they have released money for payment to our members, which, as of yesterday, some of our members have acknowledged of such money at their various hospitals, clinics, and maternity homes across the country. As to how much exactly that has been released, I cannot speak to that until all our members confirm their values that they have received, and we are able to put it together. It is then that we can mention that we have released 100 million or 200 million to our members. Because the information available to our secretariat is suggesting to the fact that members have received, and some are also coming up with the information of receiving alert from their bank indicating that money has been deposited into their accounts from the National Health Insurance Authority.
Frank Toblu is the General Secretary of the Private Health Facilities Association of Ghana. The All Teachers Alliance Ghana has raised doubt about the implementation of government June 2024 deadline for distributing laptops to teachers under the One Teacher, One Laptop initiative. This skepticism arises from an agreement with the teacher unions as part of a plan to persuade them to end their strike. In an interview with Citi News, the national chairman of the group, Isaac Ofori, expresses doubt about KA Technologies, the sole distributor's capacity to fulfill the distribution of the laptops.
And now the reality has come out to catch up with us that it is an indication that as at the time, KA Technology did not have the capacity, and we are witnessing it today. As to between that time and now, whether they have been able to develop that capacity to be able to distribute the remaining laptops. We don't have the actual fact to speak to that. But since the laptops have not come, we have every right to make the inference that they still lack the capacity to produce the number of laptops that were given to them to produce. In fact, on 2 occasions have teacher unions issued ultimatum to GES, and on all these 2 occasions, GES has come up to also give a timeline as we are witnessing today. But we raise legitimate questions, and these questions that we raise still stands today if, for sure, KA Technology lacks the capacity in terms of production.
That was the national chairman of the All Teachers Alliance Ghana, Isaac Ofori. The Ashanti Regional Director of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Emmanuel Tinkran, is advocating for a national dialogue to discuss the efficient and sustainable payment of electricity bills for hospitals. He argues that health facilities will not be able to independently cover the cost of power, and any attempt to do so will burden the patient to patronize these facilities. These concerns come after the ECG issued a recent disconnection notice to over 90 health facilities across the country for failing to settle their electricity bills. Dr. Tinkran emphasizes the need for a national dialogue to permanently address the the issue. He spoke at the annual performance review of the Ashanti Regional Health Directorate in Kumasi.
Government will need to sit down with Ministry of Health, because as it is right now, the facilities themselves will not be capable of paying full cost of electricity in this country. And that is what I think the authorities should understand. Because if I'm to use Okonfa-Nortye as an example, as at now, they are supposed to pay 27 million. That 27 million is to be paid by those who are purchasing the service. And meanwhile, if you put the additional cost on the patient cannot bear those costs. You see, so either they put the government decides to pay or put the cost on the patients, and it cannot sustain the insurance. You see, so we don't have any cost. The only reason why we believe that the government should intervene is that the facilities as it exists right now will not be capable of paying full electricity bill in this country.
Dr. Emmanuel Tinkran is the Ashanti Regional Director of Health Services. The Minister for Works and Housing, Kojo Nkrumah, has stated that the current state of the Saglemi housing project is unfit for human use. This follows recent calls by some stakeholders for the relocation of the Akosombo spillage victims to the Saglemi housing project. Speaking on the City Breakfast Show earlier today, the Minister for Works and Housing announced that government has begun the resettlement program for affected communities and will be completed within 6 months.
There was a question raised in Parliament earlier that why didn't we give Saglemi to the flood victim? And the reason is that Saglemi, as is now, is totally uninhabitable. Yes, there are genuine questions about what if something had been done earlier, but as it is now, it's totally uninhabitable. For our compatriots who were, and it's uninhabitable because there's no drainage system, there's no water, there's no electricity. The whole place is literally very run down, as I'm sure you saw from the pictures yesterday. So when it comes to resettling of our compatriots who are affected by the floods, that has to be dealt with on its own. Now, the first step, you recall, was to provide safe havens for people to move away from the high water levels. I dare say the entire country came together to support. NADMO did its part. The government did its part. Media houses did their part. Members of Parliament did their part. We have given the contractors who are working on these 100 units up to 6 months to finish the work that they are doing.
Minister for Works and Housing, Kojo Nkrumah, founder of the Movement for Change and presidential hopeful Alan Chematin, has revealed intentions to review the anti-corruption legislation should he emerge victorious in the 2024 polls. This comes at the back of heightened concerns about the country's stagnation on the Corruption Perception Index for the fourth consecutive time. Alan Chematin, while addressing the Trade Union Congress as part of a stakeholder engagement, explained that the commitment to tackling the menace stems from his incorruptible nature.
You must have the political will to fight corruption and take decisive action against people who are corrupt. That's the only way. I keep on saying, I'm not corrupt, I've never been corrupt, and I've never been corrupt, I'm not corrupt, and I'll never be corrupt. Yes. And then it says that isolate all corruption-related provisions in existing legislation and consolidate them in one enabling legislation with a clear definition of corruption. Right now, you have many laws that are designed to deal with corruption. It doesn't work that way. So this is to isolate all the provisions and consolidate them in. And you have to amend the Constitution to establish and appoint an anti-corruption cell.
Now, in a bid to bolster the private sector, Alan Chematin further outlined plans to revamp government One District, One Factory initiative.
When I become president, I'll make sure that I put money, more money, government resources, because it's private sector driven. These are not state enterprises. Government is supporting the private sector to decentralize industrial development. And that is the beauty of the One District, One Factory program. Now, I'm also proposing that we facilitate the establishment of, listen to this carefully, the establishment of worker-owned large-scale industrial establishments. Worker-owned large-scale industrial establishments for a group of unemployed graduates.
That was the founder of the Movement for Change and presidential candidate hopeful Alan Chiamartin.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know, Papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa!
Bobo, so how your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that. Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panzapa. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with 8 age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Easter is just around the corner, and Volta Serene Hotel has something extraordinary planned just for you from March 29th through to 1st of April 2024. Bobo celebrations and unforgettable moments await you. Our 2-night package starts at just 4,400 Ghana cedis for couples and 7,150 Ghana cedis for a family of 3 or 4. Looking for an extended stay? Our 3-night package is available at 5,604 Ghana cedis 50 pesos for couples and 9,350 Ghana cedis for a family of 3 or 4. Book your escape now on 054-153-9867 or 020-503-8763. It's Easter at Volta Serene Hotel. Come feel the serene touch.
Let me tell you about My King. Always looking out for the family and making sure we have the protection we need. Mine has been caring for our family from generation to generation. Let me tell you, mine makes sure I smile always. Mine makes sure we save money.
Abba, these women are at it again. Is it your husband you are speaking so highly of?
Oh no, we are talking about the new Pepsodent 200 grams.
It's the Pepsodent Kokroko promo. This is the Pepsodent 175 grams you have always loved. Now with an additional 25 grams free for cavity protection and 10 times stronger teeth for your entire family. Grab yours now. This advert is FDA approved.
There are some classy celebrations that calls for whipping out your favorite China sets. Same goes for your luxury vehicle. Just any engine oil won't do. Premium understands premium best. The new Shell Helix Ultra 0W20 SP with carbon neutral properties is the one for your premium car. It's a fully synthetic motor oil designed using the Shell Pure Plus technology. Prevents dirt buildup with exceptional cleaning power, leaving your pistons cleaner than a whistle up to 50% more than the industry standard and gives you stronger, long-lasting engine performance. So, if you want your classic car to run smoothly like a Ferrari for years to come, use the Shell Helix Ultra 0W20 SP with carbon neutral properties. Shell Helix Ultra 0W20 SP, designed for ultimate engine performance.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, brought to you by GCB Bank PLC. GCB Personal Loan, make that big move and dream a reality. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Details of our stories now. And a $300 million loan facility from the World Bank to Ghana has officially been released for budgetary support. The amount was credited to the central bank's account on Wednesday, March 27. It is the first in a series of 3 operations of $300 million each from the World Bank for crisis response and resilience in Ghana as part of the Resilient Recovery Development Policy Operation. This fresh international inflow will increase the central bank's buffers to help in the recovery of the economy and slow the depreciation of the cedi. Government has constituted a committee to probe into the tax exemptions regime as part of effort to improve the country's business landscape. According to Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, bottlenecks associated with doing business in Ghana, including multiplicity of taxes, was hampering the growth of businesses and making the country an unattractive destination to foreign investors. Speaking at the launch of the Mutual Prosperity Partnership, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam assured of government commitment to removing these impediments hindering the development of the private sector.
I really need to say that the government has not been sleeping over these concerns that have been raised by all of you and the business community. And therefore, we have moved very fast to start initiatives towards addressing some of these challenges. I need to mention that His Excellency the President has just constituted a committee to look into the exemptions regime with a view to making it investor friendly. He hasn't denominated the committee, but I have the privilege to inform you that the President is not sleeping over this. He indeed wants Ghana to remain the best destination.
That was the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam. The Office of the Registrar of Companies is encouraging businesses to comply with the Companies Act and laws governing businesses and companies in the country. This comes as the office has commenced its nationwide compliance exercise to sensitize companies on the need to, among others, file their annual returns. The Assistant Chief Company Inspector at the Office of the Registrar of Companies, Eric Yeboah, indicated this after a tour of some companies within the North Industrial Area here in Accra.
Companies ensuring that companies comply with the requirements of the Companies Act and also to provide education to companies as to what the Act requires of them. So that is what we've been embarking. We started off on Monday. We visited a number of companies and we are continuing today as well.
So what are some of the things that you are checking?
So we are checking to see if even the companies are even registered to start with, whether they have their certificates displayed that's required by the law, whether they are filing their annual returns, whether they are keeping their various books, their combined register of members, and all these things that the Act requires them to do.
You heard the Assistant Chief Inspector of the Office of the Registrar of Companies, Eric Yeboah. 1/3 of households in the 5 regions of the North are seasonally food insecure. This is according to a recent study by the Data Repository and Advocacy for Policy, a unit at the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISE. According to the unit, stakeholders, including government, must collaborate to align agricultural policies to address this seasonal trend. Dr. Fred Mawonyo Janko is the project coordinator of the Data Repository and Advocacy for Policy, and he spoke to Citi Business News on the sidelines of the Ghana Agri-Food Systems Research Dissemination and Policy Forum in Accra.
Food systems, also because Ghana and also the sub-region in general is still food insecure. In fact, in northern Ghana, for example, our research shows that over 1/3 of households are seasonally food insecure, and therefore it's important to focus on, because you need, if you don't have food, enough food, you can't do other things, you can't think properly. If children are not fed well, they cannot study well in school, and therefore they cannot achieve their potential. And also you notice that we're not just talking about the availability of food, but we are talking also about the nutritional adequacy of food, the safety of the food that is on the market, because you can have food on the market, but if the food is not safe, what you are basically doing is that you are buying sickness or diseases for your population.
Dr. Fred Mawonyo Janko is the project coordinator of the Data Repository and Advocacy for Policy. And that's it for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. The business news on Eyewitness News is brought to you by GCB Bank PLC. GCB Personal Loan, make that big move and dream a reality. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Up next is Point Blank.
Hello, Linda. You won't believe what I am planning next.
I want to start my postgraduate degree, buy a car, and build my dream home. But you know what's stopping me?
What's that, Mike?
Money, oh. That be my biggest wahala.
Oh, you are sorted, Kra. With a GCB Big Move personal loan promo, you can borrow up to a whopping 400,000 Ghana cedis at a significantly reduced interest rate in less than 24 hours.
Like seriously? How do I qualify?
Yes, it's available to all GCB salary account holders. Plus, you get a 2-month grace period before you start to pay back.
Susket, I'm opening an account with GCB now.
Get a personal loan of up to 400,000 Ghana cedis at a significantly reduced interest rate in less than 24 hours. Call 0800-422-422 or visit your nearest GCB branch today to fund your next big move as we celebrate 70 years of greatness. T's and C's apply. GCB Bank, your bank for life.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
There are some classy celebrations that call for whipping out your favorite China sets. Same goes for your luxury vehicle. Just any engine oil won't do. Premium understands premium best. The new Shell Helix Ultra 0W20 SP with carbon neutral properties is the one for your premium car. It's a fully synthetic motor oil designed using the Shell Pure Plus technology. Prevents dirt buildup with exceptional cleaning power, leaving your pistons cleaner than a whistle up to 50% more than the industry standard, and gives you stronger, long-lasting engine performance. So, if you want your classic car to run smoothly like a Ferrari for years to come, use the Shell Helix Ultra 0W20 SP with carbon neutral properties. Shell Helix Ultra 0W20 SP, designed for ultimate engine performance.
KB, aka Kube Boga, now drives a Bugatti. He can even travel by road from Accra to London. Oh, wow. KB's source of wealth is agriculture. Yes, coconut business. After losing his bank job, he started supplying coconuts at events. Now, he owns large coconut plantations and employs many young people. Charlie, we all need to trust the process, because hope day.
There has never been a better time to enter into agribusiness. Take a bold step today with the Ghana Grows program, because every step pays. Ejuma Wokrom, Ghana Grows, Hope Day, an initiative of the MasterCard Foundation in partnership with Springboard Roadshow Foundation and Limehouse.
Ladies and gentlemen, Telecel is here! Telecel, connecting energies.
Spring into the Easter holiday celebrations at La Palm Royal Beach Hotel from the 29th of March to the 1st of April. Let's start from Friday 29th, Good Friday. Live band with Effa Keys. Entry is free. Easter dinner buffet at the Continental Restaurant for just 350 Ghana cedis on Friday and 320 Ghana cedis on Saturday and Sunday. Easter Sunday lunch at the Continental Restaurant is just 450 Ghana cedis and then 500 Ghana cedis at the Ghanaian Village Restaurant. There is Easter Monday poolside fiesta on the 1st of April. Swimming costs just 100 Ghana cedis. Stay over at La Palm Royal Beach Hotel this Easter at an unbeatable rate of 1,800 Ghana cedis single occupancy and 2,040 Ghana cedis double occupancy. Easter is best celebrated at La Palm Royal Beach Hotel. For reservations, call 030-2215-100 or 0577-665964. La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, uniquely golden, traditionally Ghanaian.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
FM. My name is Umaru Sandama. Before we go into the main issues of Point Blank, the Ghana Police Service has issued a statement. It says Ghana Police Service mourns 3 police officers who died in a fatal accident at Chichire. The accompanying message that the Ghana Police Service published on its social media platform says, with a heavy heart, the Ghana Police Service mourns 3 of our gallant officers who lost their lives in a fatal accident today at Chichire along the Accra-Kumasi Highway while on their way for police operational duties. In line with Ghanaian tradition and the Ghana Police Service regulations, full details will be communicated after the bereaved families are formally informed. Now today, there have been some announcements by the government and the presidency, to be specific. The president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has appointed Julie Essiem as a new Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority. She is replacing Reverend Dr. Amishadai Owusu-Amwa. She was a commissioner responsible for the Support Service Division of the GRA, and her appointment is coming just after the dissolution of the board of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Now, Reverend Dr. Amishadai has been at that position for some time now. Recently, he was in Parliament, and the issue of his age came up. One person who was insisting that he should go is the Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram, Samuel Nate George. Let's speak to him now. Sam, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thanks, good evening to your listeners.
Good evening to you too. Would you say finally what you're hoping has happened, or you would say this is too belated?
Well, Umar, I was only asking that the laws be followed and that the Constitution is clear that anybody who turns 60 is within their right to be given a contract for not exceeding 2 times and not exceeding 5 years. And the point that I was making was that Reverend Amishadai did not have a contract 2 years after his last contract had expired. And so it's not as though I wanted somebody sacked or I didn't want anybody sacked. I just wanted the right thing done. I mean, he's been replaced by a 61-year-old. So clearly it is not the question of whether 60. I don't have anything against people who turn 60. The point is they must have a contract. If Julie has a contract that is valid, then she can stay at post. So for me, it's about the right thing being done. The president failed to do his job earlier on. The finance minister failed to do his job earlier on. Today they decided that Dr. Amishadai should go home, Reverend Amishadai should go home. Well, it's medicine after death. It doesn't correct or change the fact that for 2 years he was at post without a contract.
I see. But is a shake-up at the GRA necessary at this time, you think?
Well, there are so many. The president has not given any reason for this shake-up. But insiders in GRA will tell you that the GRA is in a state of turmoil. And things don't seem to be sitting on there. The president has sat on for 7 years plus and watched the decay happen there. I don't know if it is wise to be giving medication in the mortuary instead of giving it in the emergency room. Jerry had been in the OPD, moved to the emergency ward, and the president stayed his hand in applying the right medication. Now Jerry is dead and sent to the mortuary. He's applying medication. Well, maybe he's hoping for a miracle. But 7 months to the next election, not that my faith is not that big. You are fasting. Maybe your faith is that big, but mine isn't at the point in time.
Talking about your faith, and before I let you go, even though you are not necessarily a party to any of the cases in the Supreme Court, you are the reason, you and 7 others are the reason that we are seeing what we are seeing in the Supreme Court. What's your comment on the case that has been brought against the House of Parliament and also the executive over the bill that the House has approved and the decision of the Supreme Court today?
Well, fundamentally, Umaru, let me state that I believe that the Supreme Court or the judiciary has no power to stop any of the other arms of government, the executive or the legislature, from doing its job. That's my fundamental position. And I believe that that is the argument that the Supreme Court made today, that they cannot stay the hand of the legislature. But what is surprising me is that the Chief Justice has not called the Richard Sky case, which is almost 4 weeks old, before the court, to hear that, but has called a case that was less than a week old, because it's the same principle. Because the principle the Supreme Court has espoused here, if you apply that to what is the Richard Sky case, that case also has to be thrown out because it's equally very frivolous. Because the Supreme Court has no power to stay the hands of the president. But if the judiciary is not being biased, if the judiciary is showing a mind of its own, especially the Chief Justice, showing a mind of their own, they would have called both cases. Because, I mean, common sense is a part of legislation and the work of the judiciary. You would only expect that a case that preceded the Roxanne Lafayette case would have been heard, if not at the same time, before the Roxanne case. But you've seen an expeditious disposition or dispatch on the Roxanne case, even though nobody has asked for abridgment of time, and the one that affects the president. You see, the judiciary must be seen to be carrying out justice, not just doing it. They must be seen and believed to do it. But when it gets into a place where it's akin to the mafia, where the mafia sits and there's, for want of a better phrase, judicial gangsterism, and they choose who to favor and who not to favor. It's one of the reasons why the judiciary in Ghana is one of the most distrusted public entities. And that in itself portends a big problem for our country. And the judiciary must actively work to purge itself of that perception. This is not from George speaking alone. This is Ghanaians. Majority of Ghanaians, if you like, do a vox pop. Ask Ghanaians if they have a case, whether they want to take it to court. Most Ghanaians will tell it, or they would find another way of settling it, because they believe that justice today is dispensed for the powerful and rich. And when that happens in a democracy, that democracy is doomed. The judiciary needs to really work on itself and purge itself of that perception. It's not recovered from the episode of Kontomre and cassavas and goats. That perception has still not been wiped out. And the current actions, I mean, this morning, social media was agog that we're going to have a unanimous SC. Whether the judgment was right or wrong, I mean, our judiciary should not be so predictable.
Now that the judiciary or the Supreme Court has made this decision, it means Parliament, you can go back to work. If you're invited to come, and as minority side to come and proceed with the approval process of the minister nominees, which many say is not really related to your issue, but you brought it up anyway, or the speaker brought it up anyway, what will be the position of your side?
You need to speak to my leaders about that.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Most grateful.
That's Amonate George. He's NDC Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Pram. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. This segment is known as Point Blank. ECG. Less than 12 hours on, the president has appointed a new person, Herbert Krapper, Deputy Minister for Energy, to be the chairperson of the ECG board. But all of this is happening in the wake of the doomsday that we are witnessing. Let's speak to someone who understands the power sector so well. Ben Boachi is Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy. Ben, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
First of all, Kelly Gadjakpo's exit, he's been there for some time now. If you were to assess his performance, would he be because he's board chair, do you blame board chairs for the overall challenges we are witnessing, for instance, or he may go as someone who was very clean at his job, did a great job, and we should salute him?
Yeah, I think it's a very difficult question. When it comes to collective responsibility, I think we can put it on the total board. But the fact that he's also been there from the beginning of the government, at a period that I actually saw a significant decline in the performance of ECG, certainly cannot be absolved of, that responsibility that, the company has been worse under that period. Yeah. So for me, I don't know what actually instigated his exit. Perhaps the entire board will have to account how the company has been managed over the period.
I see, but at this time that he's leaving, he has said it's for personal reasons, but of course, the issues in the sector are issues that would be referenced. Would it be, I don't know, is it fair to see someone who is supposed to chair the ECG board leaving at this crucial time when we have a whole challenge on the power sector?
Well, I think it could be various reasons. Maybe he thinks he cannot deliver, what has to be delivered to salvage the power sector. As we keep indicating, ECG is extremely important in the survival of the energy sector, not just the power sector, because the gas production and everything is linked to the power sector. The gas that is produced is used to generate power. If we don't pay, the state is called upon to pay, creating a lot of debt in that space. And then the power sector as well, you have IPP debt, you have interagency debt that is not cleared, it's still outstanding. So these are the challenges that we need the leadership of ECG to help address. So if he believes that, he cannot deliver on that objective, then of course, you wouldn't want him to extend his stay in that office. So I don't know what else would have accounted for it, whether there are other motivations for it. But for me, if the job wasn't done and he felt he couldn't deliver it, I think it saves the public for somebody else to come try.
Now we have a new board chairman. I don't know what you know about him. He's Deputy Minister for Energy. He was Deputy Minister for Trade. Any hopes there?
I don't know. I think at this point, you want to hope that it will take time. If he doesn't understand how the sector works, he will take time to understand it and appreciate that it's a very daunting job at this point to understand that the liability on the state is in excess of $1 billion every single year. And therefore, we need skilled hands to be able to reverse the trend and reduce the burden on the state and the people of Ghana. If he took his time to appreciate that, he will seek counsel and will be able to work to reduce that burden. And that's what we've been fighting for over this year. So that the budget that is supposed to go building the schools, the hospitals, the road infrastructure, protecting the vulnerable, is not used to pay for electricity that has been consumed, for example. So that is the job that he has on his hands. Unfortunately, the timing, I don't know, it's an election year where historically, the power sector has struggled to take sound decisions in an election year. So I don't know how he will be able to navigate that within this period. But we can only wish him well and hope that he lives up to expectations in the task ahead.
Okay, so enough of on the personnel who are in the space. Let's talk about the sector itself. What is wrong? What is happening? The doomsaw is very evident there. I don't know if you have been suffering or facing it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's happening, but we have access to what is happening in the space, and we know that there are deficits in generation. What that simply means is that we are not generating enough to be able to meet demand. And when that happens, you need to shed load if you don't shed load and you keep all the demand on, the system will collapse. So at all times, ECG has, Gridco has a job to make sure that the system doesn't crash. They know when the demand is rising above supply, and they have that duty to shut some places down to ensure that, the entire system doesn't collapse. So what ordinarily should have been done is for ECG to then look at what could be available at every particular time, and then decide that Gridco, instead of using discretion, this is how you should do the shedding, so that it is apportioned, it is properly laid out for people to know when they're going to go off, and also limit the discretion that Gridco has at this point. Because as we speak, every evening, the Gridco engineer is at liberty to decide who goes off, because there's no plan for it. So if you feel that Omaru is not kind to me, and therefore every evening I have to take him down, you are going down. Because there's no plan to actually insulate anybody from those kind of targeting. And that's why a plan becomes extremely important, so that we know who is going off at what point, particularly when we do know, honestly, that the supply is not enough to be able to meet the demand. I think that the honest thing to do is to let people know, inform, take away the discretion, and let people plan their lives.
It's interesting you talk about production at this time or generation at this time. 10 years ago, when we saw the challenges in the power sector, it was blamed on generation capacity. There was a reason that the then government brought in all these IPPs, and we saw all of these badges coming through, and that problem was solved, or at least that's what we're told. Why are we talking about generation capacity at this time when we already have been talking about excess power in the system by these governments?
Yeah, we have the plants. I think what is different is that we have the power plants that could come on stream if we had the fuel to be able to bring them on stream. I think that is where the challenge is. There are some plants that are going on under maintenance. I understand Amandi has been under maintenance. It's supposed to come back today. I don't know how that is going, whether they were able to actually resume production. If they were able to come back, that could improve the system a little bit, because Amandi's power plant is more efficient. What that means is that they can use, less fuel to generate more power. So that would reduce, the load that has to be shed. Beyond that, we know that we still don't have enough, fuel, gas, to be able to meet the demand now, which is in excess of 3,500 megawatts. So the ideal situation will be to have some electricity at all times, particularly the off-peak, the peak period, to be able to meet demand. And that is also because we is not doing well in the peak period. It's a 400 megawatts capacity. It can now do maximum in 200 at peak, and they have to manage it to make sure that you don't overdraft it.
So it's a finance issue then.
At this point, it is buying the fuel that you need to be able to generate enough.
So government ought to pay the producers to buy the fuel they need to produce.
I don't think government has to be doing that. This is power that is procured, and sold to the consumer, and somebody has to collect the revenue to be able to pay the value chain.
So this is an ECG problem then. So this is an ECG problem, even though ECG is quasi-government, of course.
Yes, and that's the problem we've been trying to fix for the past 10 years. When we agreed that these inefficiencies were going to bite the country if we allowed it to persist, and therefore we needed to do the private sector participation and allow investment to thrive, and also fix the unnecessary inefficiencies in the space and allow revenues to be collected, optimal revenue collection. That would absolve government of these recurrent, responsibility of paying people's electricity bill when the power has actually been sold and we can't trace who consumed what, and even those we can trace, we can't collect the revenue. And therefore, the budget then has to be sacrificed to pay for the bill. If government was sure that, for example, you put in $100 million to buy fuel, and that money will come back, I'm sure government would have sacrificed for it by now. To put that money up and say, okay, you use the generate power, sell it, and bring the money back. But any money government puts in today, it is lost. We can just count our losses and know that it's not coming back. Even as we speak, without that intervention, government's liability and responsibility in the sector is about 250 million cities every month, to be able to show up the capital, the revenue requirement to meet the needs of the sector. So already a lot is being done. And if we have to pay extra through the budget, remember that government doesn't have anything except what we give it. So it means that the government has to find the money from us somehow to be able to.
So we should expect to pay more then.
Yes, not necessarily through electricity. You could be paying more through many forms. As we speak, we are paying ESLA, we are paying the Delta, all of it on petroleum products. All right. So if they cannot get more through electricity, you pay it in another form.
Thank you for speaking to us.
Okay.
That's Ben Boachi. He's Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadou. I did it with Hawa Idriso Mustafa. Production by Kobna Wilson, Beverly London, and Sami Yafi. The technical support from Daniel Squashi. New media support from Edwin Kwakofi. We return tomorrow at 17:30 GMT. Thank you for listening and have a good night.